friendship that'll never ever end.
Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Welcome to another episode of Rankum. It's going to be a fun one today. We're going to be, well, not so much fun, but we're going to be celebrating the life of Bray Wyatt and talking about his matches and that. But he's a fun character regardless. But we've got, over here we've got Jacob Cameron. Jacob, how's it going?
It's going good, Malcolm. Thank you so much for having me on. I believe this is my first time here, so I really do appreciate it. I want to thank Richie for inviting me on. It's really sad because, you know, Bray Wyatt's no longer with us. I remember when he debuted, and it's strange for someone who was like on WWE TV for so long, and now he's just not. You know, it's heavy hearts all around. But I'm going into this and seeing this as a celebration, and so that's what it should be.
Also, we've got Matt Bedreau, aka Soda. Soda, how's it going?
Hey, man. Good to be here. As soon as I saw you post something about wrestling, I'm like, oh, I'm there. Yeah, no, I agree. This is a weird one with Bray Wyatt because he's my age.
Wow.
So that kind of hit a little hard. And you're right. The dude is something special. Can't believe it's been 10 years since he debuted in the roster, and I felt like he had way much more to give, but what we got was fun.
And also here we've got Richie. Richie, how's it going?
Yeah, good man. It's gonna be great just to sort of talk about the legend of Bray Wyatt, and I just talk about sort of what a creative genius he was. I think he was again a guy who's maybe his potentials never fully recognized, but I think he will sort of go down as sort of one of the more modern legends of wrestling, and definitely one of the best minds in wrestling. That dude's really creative, so I'm looking forward to talking about him.
We've also got Ryan here. Ryan, how's it going?
Pretty good. I mean, given the subject, it's going to be difficult to to talk about it, but this is all about celebrating the Bray Wyatt. His life ended very short, and I do relate with Soda. He was just 2 years younger. He was 2 years older than me. Okay, so that it not only is it scary, and then when you read into what caused it, it's just really, really puts a lot into perspective when it comes to your health and pretty much how you taking care of yourself. But beyond that, I'm looking forward to talking about Bray, revisiting some matches that may not have been classics to some, but really showed his charisma and creativity during his time here in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the other side of Ryan. Like he was 2 years younger than me, which I didn't realize. I thought for sure he was a lot older than me.
Wait. So I think I made a mistake. He's 2 years older than me. Sorry, but I'm sorry for interrupting you. I thought I said he's 2 years younger than me.
No, you did. I think you did say older. I was saying I'm the opposite, as in he is 2 years younger than me. But
Jesus, so, I'm gonna try not to do a lot of interruption because if I say something stupid,
that's all good. I think I'm prone to say stupid things all the time. So
we're men.
Yeah.
But that's one of those ones like. Just revisiting some of the matches that I may have missed, and or just refreshing my memory on this week has just been it's just been one of those weeks where it was just a really tough week tough weekend all around for like a lot of the community, to be honest. With that, how Rankin Roots is each going to go around and nominate a match of Bray Wyatt, so we think belongs on a top 12 list. And just for clarification, like we are saying Bray Wyatt, but we are like if you do think is a match where he played as Husky Harris, like that is counted as well, just because it is the same person. It's but Jacob, we're going to start with you. What is the first match you can bring up?
So this is my first time here. I figured I don't know if I want to go like particularly strong with this or maybe highlight a hidden gem. But in the moment, I'm kind of deciding to go with my personal favorite match of his from his Fiend days, from the Royal Rumble 2020. It's the strap match that he had against Daniel Bryan. Now, I'm sure that everyone's going to say the Funhouse match with Cena is their favorite, and I totally get it. It was perfect for its time and place, but I think as like match in the traditional sense, I would give it to this one because it was a simple narrative of the Fiend always running away. And so Daniel Bryan says, I want to be attached to that. So in order to keep him close and try and take the Universal title in that sense. It was one of like it was one of the last pay-per-views before COVID, so there was a lot of people there to witness this, so that helped a ton. Daniel Bryan, I mean, you can't go wrong there, but this was no carry job. I mean, another match that I will highlight, if it doesn't get covered by the rest of my panel mates, is another match that they had earlier. I won't spoil it. But the strap match from 2020 Royal Rumble, I think, doesn't get talked about nearly enough, so I wanted to highlight that.
Soda, what do you think about the strap match between The Fiend and Daniel Bryan?
I agree. This was actually one of the ones on my own list that I wrote down for this match. For this show. The premise behind this, like you said, normally the Fiend does, is the idea of this match is to make sure you can't let the Fiend get away. And I don't know, it's not my favorite of the Daniel Bryan Fiend matches, but it's one of the better ones for sure.
It's kind of like Pecos Bill, like lassoing the tornado. That's what Daniel Bryan's Pecos Bill, and the tornado is the Fiend.
Yeah. So was that a yes, Soda?
That was a yes.
All right. I was just making sure. Richie, what do you say about the strap match between The Fiend and Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, this match is really good. It sort of, I don't think you can go wrong with, Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson match. And I think these two have good chemistry. That they worked a lot over the years. We'll probably get into. I think it was a really fun match. So, I'd say yes.
Ryan, what do you say about The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan at Royal Rumble?
This was definitely on my list as well, not only for the fact it was one of the last pay-per-view matches before COVID that we saw of The Fiend, but this also represent they did a good storyline build to talk about the strap match, and they set up the good conditions for it. And personally, this is one of the better matches that was able to use the character of The Fiend when it was not doing its not always surprise attacking people. Like, this was a good way to, at least in the storyline, ground him to play Daniel Bryan's game. I will say him and Daniel Bryan always had great rivalries. There's definitely a few matches between the two of them I have on my list. Don't know if they're going to get on, but I will definitely approve of this one, so it's a yes.
Yeah, no, just going down the Bray Wyatt's list, his matches on Raw and SmackDown side, it kind of dwindled. He did a lot of it, it's all mostly sort of promo stuff, and that he had in between, he was mostly pay-per-views only as when you did matches. I think that was really fun, but with this match, I think I read it this is one of those ones I wasn't too sure if I watched it live or if this is the first time, but this is one that I really did enjoy. I think Fiend versus Daniel Bryan, I think, was a really good match. I think this one is actually my favorite of the Daniel Bryan Fiend matches. So it's a yes for me as well. So it's going to make the list. Soda, what is the next match you're going to bring up?
So I'm going to go with my personal favorite Bray Wyatt match, and it is from Elimination Chamber 2014. It's the Wyatt family versus The Shield. I remember when this program started, man. I jumped out of my seat. I got all giddy. I was excited about this because I'm a fan of both factions, and this was them at the height of their powers, both respectively. This was just a balls to the wall brawl between 6 really good competitors in the ring. I know Eric Rowan doesn't get it, really talk about all that much, but in this context, he was really, really good. This was the Wyatt family at their best. This was the Shield at their best. This also kicked off the first, after this, with the exception of Mania, you got 2 more 6-man tag matches with the Shield. So there was 3 matches in 4 months that they had, amazing 6-man tag matches, and it all kicked off with the Shield, with the Wyatt family at Elimination Chamber 2014.
Richie, what do you say about the Wyatt family versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, this was the one I was going to. If it came to me before this was brought up, I was going to bring it up. This is probably one of the best 6-man I've seen in quite a while, and and that says a lot considering AEW does a lot of them. But yeah, it was two modern day factions that are legendary factions that because especially in WWE at least they're not, and around this time they weren't really big on factions and whatever. So not only have a faction but have to have a faction that gets really over as another thing. And then these two factions are really good, and then you could tell that the crowd really wanted it because when they even did the stare down, the crowd went nuts. Definitely 2 factions that will sort of go down in history and could see themselves in the Hall of Fame one day. And the match lived up to the hype. And I'm glad the sort of Wyatt family went over here. So I would definitely say yes.
Ryan, what do you say about the Wyatt family versus Shield Elimination Chamber?
It's honestly a no-brainer. Out of the multiple Wyatt family matches, either as a trio or when it was them doing Freebird style as teams, this definitely stands on top as one of them. I mean, I did like the new iteration when they had Randy Orton in the mix, though. But as far as when it comes with the original setup of the Wyatt family, that match definitely stands atop it because everything they all said, it was at a moment when they were at their hottest when they debuted on the main roster. Shield were in the midst of they're still heels, but they were popular enough to where they're baby faces. It was something WWE could not ignore. So it's a yes. Sorry, it's a yes.
Yeah. This is one of those ones I didn't get around to actually rewatching it. But yeah, it's one of those ones that I vaguely remember the match myself. Partly because Wyatt Family and Shield, they had a lot of 6-man matches leading up to this various iterations. So I think but it would have been a slight no from me. But Jacob, what do you say about Wyatt Family versus the Shield?
Resounding yes. This match is awesome. I remember distinctly when it happened, the day after this pay-per-view happened, because I didn't have the network at the time, someone had uploaded the full match to YouTube. It was wonky quality, I guess, to not get the match taken down. But I was at the gym and I was on the treadmill and I was watching this match and it was just so awesome. I remember just hooting and hollering while I'm on this treadmill, and the guy next to me is like, "What is wrong with you?" That's how good it was. It popped me on when I was on a treadmill, just getting my cardio in. But when a match gets "this is awesome" chance before it even happens, that's when you got magic.
That's when you know you're over.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's one of those ones I really hope we get some form of Judgment Day versus the Bloodline at some stage.
Where it's going now, I don't think that's going to happen anytime.
No, not anytime soon. As
this current iteration, maybe with JD McDonough or something.
I mean, to be fair, both matches are kind of crumbling at the moment. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But Richie, what is the next match you can bring up?
Yeah. Sticking with Elimination Chamber, why don't we go to Elimination Chamber 2017, where Bray Wyatt won the WWE Championship for the first time, And I just think it was I think it was a cool moment. I don't think people were really expecting it. I then pins at AJ Styles at the end, and you can just see that like the emotion and what it sort of meant to him, and the crowd really popped for it because like, I think he was he was just one of those dudes where it's like they wanted to see him kind of people wanted to see him reach that next level, and say what you will about like his looking afterwards, but like that moment was really cool, and then the speech he did like, I think it was on SmackDown afterwards was really good. It was like kind of really touching. It was just like it was great to see this guy's like hard work and how he sort of he was able to really get over with his character and his in ring work, and it sort of all culminated into being the one of the main guys, and I just think it was a cool moment for him, and and it showed that he is one of the best in the company. So I'll go the Elimination Chamber from 2017 right on the top.
Ryan, what do you say about Elimination Chamber 2017?
Well, this was also another no-brainer add on the list for me. Look at the match itself. I mean, it may not top into one of the top 5 Elimination Chambers, but still, it had a great influence of talent in there, especially around that time. Look at the storyline. Cena had just won championship, his 16th. He tied for the record. AJ was involved in the match, and then you had Wyatt, and then a few other wrestlers who were adding in. As almost people thought the main story was between AJ and Cena, but then when Cena got eliminated, it was Wyatt and AJ. I remember seeing the place, the crowd was just insane when Cena had gotten eliminated. And then when Wyatt did make that pin, the pop was even louder than after Cena had gotten eliminated. So this is a yes for me because this was a good... And then Wyatt did have a great promo after the Elimination Chamber as well. So I will give a yes to this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones that I did rewatch, and it was one it was a really fun Elimination Chamber match to watch, and and just having Bray Wyatt win the title for the first time kind of hit it off. It's unfortunate.
Interference.
Yeah, it's going to be a slight no for me. Just because I've got a lot of other matches I like more, wasn't not my favorite one that happened at an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, really enough. But Jacob, what do you say about Bray Wyatt versus everyone in the Elimination Chamber 2017?
This one's tricky because in a vacuum, it's a great moment, and Bray certainly deserved it. But man, what we got after this match, good Lord, it's a 3-act tragedy. We got the Mania match with Orton where Bray pirated planet Earth and blasted it onto the mat, I guess, to distract Randy. It was crap all around. And then we got the House of Horrors match, which was somehow even worse. And he wasn't even the champion by that point. This is tough because the match is good. I will agree with Ryan Payne on this. The match itself is good, but what we got after, it doesn't hold up to time. So I think I'm going to side with Malcolm and say no, but just barely no.
So that comes down to you. What do you say about the Elimination Chamber match from 2017?
I actually agree with everything you just said. However, I'm on the flip side of this. I say yes because we're judging matches, not what came after matches. As a match, this was, I'd say, probably the peak for Bray Wyatt, the top of the mountain. I know he had it one more time after as the Fiend, but less said about that, the better. This was the thing is with Bray Wyatt, there's more great moments and there are great matches. But this one, for me, the moment definitely elevates it to yes from this list.
But Ryan, what is the next match you're going to bring up?
Does that make the list or?
Yeah, it makes a list.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, at least when it comes with matches, personally to me, looking at of Wyatt's entire career, it was obvious that the crowd was behind him, and there was always a hard time. I'm gonna go with one that was kind of underrated because of a feud that was happening. It's Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. Now that one, while once again, just kind of like the Elimination Chaser, it may not be like in the top 5 of matches, but there was a bit of a good underrated rival feud going between Bray Wyatt and Roman during that time. This was after I think Braun Strowman was introduced, and the Shield were still together before the split happened. And so seeing Wyatt and Roman Reigns in the 2015 Hell in a Cell, that was a good match. Seeing Bray first time inside of Hell in a Cell and how he's able to use the structure as a good way to taunt and terrorize Roman. But also, let's not forget, it's 2015. This was all around the time where Roman was starting to get more and more into the bigger picture. But outside of that, I still enjoyed the match for what it was at this pay-per-view. I mean, I kind of wished Bray had gotten the win in this one, but Roman did get. I think I remember Roman won. But still, then the crowd was definitely behind Bray. Not more. It's still a little hazy because I didn't get a chance to finish my rewatch of this. But at least when I was going into it, I did see that every time Bray had done one of his little made comebacks or did his his upside down crawl pose, crowd was behind him.
Yeah, this was one of the matches I did decide to rewatch for this because, like, back early 2010, like I remember watching them when they were on sort of pay per view or PLE, whichever that is it now. But I just don't remember them that much. So yeah, this is a really good match, and yeah, it's just it was a very competitive match. So I'm going to say yes to it. Jacob, what do you say about Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt in Hell in a Cell 2015?
I'm going to go yes as well. I remember watching this as it happened, and I remember really enjoying it. And this was during that difficult time where everybody hated Roman. You couldn't pay people to like him. It's like the complete opposite now. It's like he's a hated heel, but everyone like respects him now. So it's like the dynamic is kind of flipped almost. So yeah, this was a really, really solid match. It gets a yes from me.
So what do you say about Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt?
It's yes for me. I didn't rewatch it, but I do remember it being an underrated match at the time. So yeah, this makes you wonder though: were they really more behind Bray, or were they just anti-Roman?
Yeah,
you couldn't tell.
Yeah, yes, I think you couldn't tell. Yeah. How the years have changed.
But Richie, what?
A Bloodline T-shirt.
But Richie, what do you say about the Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt Hell in a Cell 2015?
Yeah, I think it's really good and worthy of this list. It's what that time where you're like, oh yeah, that's where they were trying to make Roman a babyface, wasn't working, but yeah, it's good that things have worked out now. But yeah, I always respected Roman Reigns as a worker, and I think he worked well with Bray Wyatt. Yeah, and yeah, I think the match really worked. So yeah, I'd say yes.
But that's going to make the list. And for my first pick, I'm going to bring up one that some people out there will argue it's not a match; it's just a super long segment. But it was billed as a match. It's what it was called. I'm including it. If you want to say no to it, that's fine. But John Cena versus The Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match. It was just a really fun match. Well, yes, there wasn't really a lot of actual wrestling happening in it. I think there was but it's just one of those ones. This really shows off like Bray Wyatt's creativity and stuff. Was like just all the areas that they kind of represent, just sort of go through Cena's career just in this really short span of time, and even stuff that didn't happen. Like we got a heel Cena as part of the NWO, and it's just one of those ones which I think is just a really fun match and just a great concept to do in a way that, because I believe this was still COVID time with this.
Yes.
But it's just,
This was
This was 36, WrestleMania 36, the first.
We were like a month in at this point.
Yeah. So I think this was a really fun way to do a match without sort of really minimal sort of touching and keeping the wrestlers safe and all that. And yeah, it was just one of those ones, just really fun, and just seeing everyone go through this thing, like even just bringing in the puppets from the Firefly Funhouse, like Vince McMahon and all that, just really fun. So yeah, Jacob, what do you say about the Firefly Funhouse match?
Looking at my fellow panel mates, I don't know if this is going to be a super popular choice, but Malcolm, you have my sword on this one. I'm going to give this one a yes.
Soda, what do you say about the Firefly Funhouse match?
This is actually my next pick. You have my yes as well. This was, in my opinion, the Boneyard match was better, but this was more fun.
Richie, what do you say about John Cena versus Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match?
Yeah, I mean, I can get the argument that it's technically not a match per se, but like if you want to show off the strong side of Bray Wyatt, and that's his creativity, his great mind for wrestling, and I think WWE really good with like, look, they were the world was dealt a shit hand, but like, and WWE was too, obviously, and then but they were able to sort of use that as an opportunity to be more creative, and do these things. So it was a very it was definitely an of its time thing, but I'm sort of glad we got it. I wish we got it in a different context, obviously, but yeah, I mean, I loved it. I love how basically Bray Wyatt was able to be creative. Like there's certain things that in that match where I'm like, I'm surprised he got it approved. Like they referenced the I think at the time John Moxley had just done an interview with Jericho explaining why he left WWE, and so you got Vince the puppet going, "This is good shit." That was really funny, but yeah, it's so entertaining. It just tells a really good story. Like your career, John Cena, your career would have been different look how your career would have been different if you just turned heel like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
you forgot to add "pal" at the end. Good shit, pal.
Good shit, pal. Yeah. So I would say yes.
And Ryan, what do you say about the Firefly Funhouse match?
Well, I am sweeping the table here. This is also a yes. I understand because it's not technically a match, but even then, when you talk about the charisma and creativity that Bray Wyatt brought to the WWE, the Firefly Funhouse in general was a great creative stroke from Bray Wyatt to repackage himself after the constant times that the creative dropped the ball with him when he was out. Best way he brought himself back in. Those segments got over like crazy. Then the debut of the Fiend, regardless how it was handled, though, it looked like it was about to go on a downslide again. And then the tease of this Firefly Funhouse match between Cena and the Fiend or Wyatt. You didn't know how this was going to turn out. And not only was it fantastic, it was another one of those oh my god, what's the phrase? The recorded matches, the kind of like the Bonehouse match, like
the cinematic matches.
Yes, the cinematic matches. It showed that WWE can do a great cinematic match when you have good creative behind it. And this was just another great example of it. And I won't continue going on any further because we got a lot more down the list, but this would have been a resounding hell yes.
Yeah. But Jacob, we come back to you. What is the next match you're going to bring up?
So we're going to stick with the Fiend on this one. Going to go a little bit back in time to August of 2019. It is the Fiend versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam 2019. I remember after the Mania that year, I believe it was 35. Correct me, y'all, if I'm wrong. 35. It was 2019.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
after Mania 35, by that point, Bray had been off of TV for a while. The last time we saw him, I believe, was one half of Deleters of Worlds with Matt Hardy.
Yes.
So, and by that point, it was like the whole thing with just the feud with Randy happened, and just there, Bray Wyatt's stock was at an all-time low. And then the Funhouse vignettes start airing, and everyone was like, "What in the hell is going on here?" But people either said it in a negative light or a positive light. Regardless, people were talking about some Bray Wyatt, and just it built over time. Just the slow reveals, going from the Mr. Rogers type character, seeing little glimpses. You didn't see too much, but you knew something was going to happen. A bomb was going to drop, and the bomb was dropped in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, August 11th, 2019. The match itself is not a 5-star classic, but it didn't need to be. You had Finn Balor going in, as his regular self, thinking, "Oh, I'm facing the Bray Wyatt I beat in 2017." No, good sir. You are facing someone and something completely different. And Bray Wyatt pretty much just destroyed him, so much that we didn't see him until the month after in NXT, which that run was awesome, but that's a subject for a whole nother time.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole debut has to be among some of the best debut matches of all time. Even though Bray was well established on the roster by that point, he was a new gimmick, and that new gimmick was on full display. Just the build-up from Mania up to SummerSlam, you couldn't have written it any better.
So, what do you say about the Fiend versus Finn Balor?
This was another one that was on my list. This is 100% a yes. It was a great re-debut of sorts.
Richie, what do you say about the Fiend versus Finn Balor?
Again, that's probably one I would have brought up when it came back around to me. So yes, it's I was in awe. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to get into, but what we were going to see. But I was amazed at what we got, and I love the whole aesthetic of it. The Masters, created by Tom Savini, which is kind of cool. Just the whole presentation was amazing. It's just unforgettable, and it also just shows the creative genius of Bray Wyatt. Like he sort of created this sort of character. He was I thought this character, unfortunately, obviously can't now, but with that character, he could have been a modern day sort of Undertaker-ish, where he could just come out. That character could come out for special appearances or whatever. I feel maybe. Yeah, I think maybe not having that character as a special attraction kind of hurt him in the end, but his debut was really was great. So I'd definitely say yes.
Yeah, the Fiend is essentially the Jason Voorhees of WWE, and that is both a massive negative and a massive positive.
Ryan, what do you say about the Fiend versus Finn Balor?
Once again, obviously another one that was on my list, and it's kind of this. First off, yes. Second, Finn Balor, along with Daniel Bryan, was one of the few wrestlers that had good chemistry with Bray Wyatt in the ring. Despite whatever the creative did with the both of them, the longest time when Bray was a part of it, everyone wanted to see Balor against him. Where there was a SummerSlam match where we did get to see the Demon versus Balor, but then after when the Fiend had debuted and Balor was back on NXT, there was a lot of rumbling going around. If Balor can come back, can we get the Demon versus the Fiend? We never did get that, but still beyond then, this is a great way to bring back Bray. It was also very shocking how Finn not just taking the pin, but the way he just got destroyed like that. Really setting up the Fiend as the next unstoppable monster. So this is a yes, as I said before.
Yeah, this is one that I rewatched because I completely forgot that Finn Balor wasn't in the demon thing in this one. But that aside, it was just one of those matches which I think was really showed off like the Fiend and Hunstop, and it's one of those ones like and we never really got a chance to sort of see what could have happened, but like Fiend was someone that had the Undertaker sort of approval, and like Bray Wyatt like had the Undertaker's approval, and who knows where that could have gone now, but yeah, it still would have been a yes for the Fiend versus Finn Balor for me as well. It was just a fun match. But so we go back to you. What is the next match you're going to bring up?
So this one, it's more of a Daniel Bryan moment, but I don't think anyone could have played opposite Daniel Bryan in this better than Bray Wyatt. It is the main event of the January 13th, 2014 edition of Monday Night Raw. It is the Usos versus Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt inside of a steel cage. And this is I remember the storyline being really weird. Like the idea of it was pretty cool, but the execution was poor. It was when the Wyatts they recruited Daniel Bryan. I can't remember how he got in there anyways, but this particular Raw is when Daniel Bryan said screw it. And in the cage with Bray Wyatt after the match, when he takes off the coveralls, that is one of the loudest crowds I've ever heard. This was just at the beginning of the Yes movement, which led us to WrestleMania 30, and it was on great display here. Like I said, it's more of a Daniel Bryan thing, but Bray Wyatt, nobody could. It wouldn't have been as good without Bray Wyatt as opposite Daniel Bryan, and this is what I'm trying to say.
Richie, what did you say about the Usos versus Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan?
Yeah, as you said, it was sort of more of a moment for Daniel Bryan, but I still think it was pretty damn captivating here. I think it's a tough one because I feel like there's a couple of ones on the list, but you know what? I think we do need some TV. Like he did have some memorable TV stuff, so I'll say yes, but it might not be high on the list when we go to rank them. But I'll say yes.
Ryan, what to say about the Usos versus Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan?
Well, this one is definitely a tough one. I do agree. I love the moment because this kind of represents of Bray not only being the recipient of that moment, but also the storyline that went into it. I did like how it was a good it was a payoff that was too quick, but still you cannot overlook that crowd pop. It's also it draws back to what I said earlier before, Daniel Bryan being one of the few wrestlers that had a great rivalry and chemistry with him, and this other than the matches they had at the Royal Rumble, this is also a good moment. You know what? But even though it may not be a great match, I would still kind of recommend this one because of the storyline that built into it. So I will say a yes to this.
Yeah, this is one that I personally would have said no to. Like, I think the match itself was fine. Like, and I did rewatch it because I knew this one was probably going to come up and for that reason. But I think the actual moment kind of overshadows the match a little bit. And it is more of a Daniel Bryan thing than the Bray Wyatt thing. So I'm going to say no to this. Jacob, what do you say about the Usos versus Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan?
I think by majority it's going on the list, but I will for the record say no. And only because it was more of a Daniel Bryan thing than a Bray Wyatt thing. I think you could have I think the whole moment with Dan Bryan getting his moment in the sun and being like, okay, now we're in business with him, completely overshadowed. You could have literally had anyone else in this match, and I think the impact would have been just the same. Those people were ready. They were willing and they were able to cheer for Daniel Bryan. Like, they just needed to get permission, and that permission was granted. So Slight no, but I do respect those that say yes. It's not a you're wrong. It's like no, like I get it, but personal taste, it wasn't.
personal taste, and basically it comes down to it's a Daniel Bryan moment more than anything.
Yeah, and that's what I'm basing my argument on.
Yeah.
I suppose.
And that's a fair one.
But Richie, we go back to you. What is the next nomination?
All right, I'm gonna go back to a Bray Wyatt, John Cena thing. I mean, they had a couple of again. I thought they had decent chemistry, although the booking wasn't wonderful. I think that and the best out of that they had a sort of a trilogy, and the best of their trilogy, I believe, was at Payback, or they had the Last Man Standing match. This match, Payback 2014. This match kind of ruled. I mean, again. I wish Wyatt went over, but yeah, I think it was really, still cool. Like seeing like buries him in a cupboard. It's really good, quite brutal, and I think the crowd's really into it. And you can say what you will about the booking of the feud, but like these two had chemistry, and the matches were okay up until the finish of those matches. Out of the trilogy, this is the best one. That's my nomination.
What match was it? Sorry.
Last Man Standing, Bray Wyatt, John Cena, Payback 2014.
Ryan, what do you say about John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, Last Man Standing?
I'll be honest, I did have a match from their trilogy. This wasn't actually one of them. Not because it wasn't, it didn't make an impression. It really was a strong impression. It's just like when there's, out of the trilogy of their matches, though, I think one, I don't know. I'm going to stop patting. It did leave a good impression on, but there is one I do want to put on this list. So just by the slightest of margins, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, this I rewatched this one for this and I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun match, and I think it was good. So it's going to be yes for me. Jacob, what do you say about John Cena versus Bray Wyatt and from Payback 2014?
Yeah, I'm going to, with the asterisk of it was a very good match, I'm going to say no. Only because after this, Bray suffered. He suffered creatively. And I mean, yeah, that's the story. Like, Bray suffered creatively. I mean, we could do a whole show talking about that. But after this, and mostly it's also because, like what Ryan said, and I'm thinking we might be thinking of the same match. I don't want to say it. I don't want to steal his thunder or anything. There is a match in this trilogy that I personally prefer over this one. It's a really good match. John Cena had a thing about putting on really good Last Man Standing matches. See his Royal Rumble 07 Umaga Last Man Standing match if you want proof. That I was watching clips of that earlier today, and I was just like,
that's Umaga's best match.
Yeah,
by a country mile. Rest in peace, Umaga.
He had a good match with Great Khali.
That's
true. Yeah,
even
but,
I'll even say when the Miz was champ, John Cena, when it came with those Last Man Standings or I Quit matches, he brought a good match out of him as well.
I still defend the I Quit match he had with Randy Orton at Breaking Point is really good because I was just starting out as a fan, and like that version of Randy kind of traumatized me, where he was just like hanging John by like the handcuffs and like whipping him with the stick and like, say it, and John's like, no, and like just repeatedly. And I was new, so I wasn't aware that everyone hated the whole Super Cena thing. I was young.
You were hated.
Not many people was aware.
In the words
we'll probably eventually do top 12 matches featuring John Cena, but for now, what do you say about John Cena versus Bray Wyatt?
I'd have a way easier time with that list. In the words of LA Knight, yeah.
But yeah, that John Cena versus Bray Wyatt does from Payback 2014 does make the list. That would go back to Ryan.
Well, to seeing how much this list is starting to fill up, I'm actually going to throw this one. I'm actually going to throw this match in there. When it comes with these cinematic matches, this actually was one match that, while looking back on it, was not handled properly by WWE, but at the time, building up to it and the build towards it was something the fans wanted ever since a certain wrestler was broken in a different place. I'm picking the Ultimate Deletion match. While it is Woken Matt Hardy, the fact that when Matt became back in the WWE, people wanted to see that broken gimmick. And then it wasn't until after a loss, those great back and forth promos between him and Bray Wyatt, with the Woken and the Wyatt, just showing great charisma on both of them. Now, yeah, looking at the Ultimate Deletion, it may not have been one of the top cinematic matches, especially amongst with the Hardy compound, but I'm still going to put that in there because it led to, while not many people may not be fans of the Deleter of Worlds, I did like that tag team. I wish it had ran longer.
Great name.
But, yeah. I personally wish it had ran longer, but of course it didn't. But because, they dropped it because Vince don't give a shit about tag teams. But even then, I did like how it was two creative men. And Jeff Hardy was there at the time. If they had just kept it going longer, we would have had ourselves the Deleter of Worlds with Jeff Hardy in it. But that's what ifs. That is what ifs. But I still enjoy the cinematic match just for the fact we get to see Matt and Bray just play around.
I was actually reading up about that. Apparently, the reason they actually decide to dissolve the tag team and all that, apparently Vince was sick and Matt and Bray both pitching creative ideas for more matches for them. So,
Makes sense.
Yeah, which sounds like a weird reason to do it. But there was an interview with Matt Hardy that he did. It was actually a while ago, but it was like apparently it was like they were pitching all these creative ideas that because apparently they didn't want them to have matches like week after week or something. I don't quite remember what it was now, but
yeah, that's not a weird reason. That's a Vince reason.
Yeah,
Malcolm, you're operating under the illusion that Vince McMahon is normal. He is not normal.
I mean, I never said he was normal.
Also like with the fact that they were touring in house shows, those guys wrestled a lot as a team in house shows. I'm pretty sure that there could be some video footage of having them play around, but beyond that, it's one of those reasons where Vince is like, oh, he wants creativity so much, but I'm sorry, two men who have great ideas, seeing what Bray did later on in the company, seeing what Matt did to revive his career, you don't want to push more creativity? That's like, come on, Vince.
Yeah, but I this is one of those matches I rewatched for this, and yeah, this was literally going to be the next one I was going to bring up. So Ryan, save me. But yeah, this was just one of those matches where, like for the most part, like when I was watching, I was like, is this actually going to be a match in the end of it? And which it only ended up doing because they did get into the ring and wrestle. But like, this was just one of those matches, and this was one that I actually wanted to rewatch because on TikTok I stumbled across Matt's wife, Rebby, who was actually the one doing did the music for this match. And they were just sort of saying like how much sort of Bray enjoyed visiting and just playing with like their son King Maxwell and all that, and it was just one of those ones like really heartwarming stories. But yeah, this is just one of those matches which showcased both Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt at creativity at the peak, and just especially like my favorite moment of this was just when Matt was sitting on the ring looking at the lawnmower and the wheelchair's like, mower of lawn, She on wheels. I was like, it's just a lot of fun. But so yeah, it's a yes for me. Jacob, what do you say about the Ultimate Deletion match?
I'm going to go no on this one, only because the match was trying to copy off of something that was done far better with the final deletion. You can try, and believe me, WWE and AEW have tried. You can never truly recapture the final deletion. I remember Chris Jericho telling a story about when it happened. He had like showings of like, because everyone in WWE wanted to see it. It's like, all right, the showings are this time and this time, and everyone just crowded in to just watch this oddity. And I feel like every deletion match, like whether it's Delete or Decay or the Ultimate Deletion in here or the Elite Deletion, is just trying to. What was that?
Tag Team Apocalypto.
Well, that one too. But
I know what you mean.
I knew Decay was in there. I just couldn't remember the
Decay is a good name though.
No, they were in two other like cinematic deletion matches. There was Delete or Decay, and then there was Tag Team Apocalypto. So sorry, I'm sorry.
I appreciate you because my it gets mixed up in there sometimes. But I'm going with no because I feel like the Ultimate Deletion was trying to copy off of something that the much derided Impact Wrestling did so much better.
Impact Wrestling's good. Just I want to put it out there to the world. I know I'm not.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it's good. I'm just saying
to the choir here. No, I agree that you probably think that. I'm preaching to the choir here. I still feel it gets criticized unjustly because of years past. But it's a good show. It's a good television show.
Yeah, I agree with you, Richie, 100%. I'm just saying that in general, it is much derided. But I'm not one of those guys.
Yeah.
But Soda, what do you say about the Ultimate Deletion match?
I actually had this one on my list as well, so yes for me.
And Richie, what would you have said about the Ultimate Deletion match?
Yeah, I was toing and froing as to whether to include it. At the end of the day, I think it was on honorable mentions, and I had enough fun with it. I do get Jacob's point because it is sort of capitalizing on a better match, but at the end of the day, it does highlight Bray's creativity, and I am glad that we did get Bray and Matt working together because I think Matt's one of the best creative minds of wrestling as well. And I think this shows it, and I'm glad the bond they were able to have after this too. So and I wish the Little Worlds kind of lasted a little more longer than it did. And like you're saying, you could have brought Jeff Hardy in there, or it would have been cool if I know they had the stuff going on for the B team, but it would have been cool if they brought in Bo Dallas into there. I'd say yes.
I still believe that given time, he probably would have eventually got Bo Dallas and some form of Bo Dallas and teaming with Bray Wyatt eventually.
Yeah, I mean they teamed together in FCW, so it was like
it was inevitable. I mean, kind of got it at the end.
Well, he was Uncle Howdy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. He was. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of those mysteries you're never going to know now.
It's been pretty much been unofficially confirmed.
Yeah, that's funny because when they put Uncle Howdy into 2K23, like a lot of people were like, right, let's take off the mask, see if they kind of do it as they don't. But that the Ultimate Deletion match is going to make the list. So we've got 9, we've got 3 spots left. I'm going to bring up a match that probably isn't going to make the list, but it is ultimately what's going to turn out to what is unfortunately turned out to be his final match in WWE.
Okay.
And look, say what you want about this, like, well, yes, the whole doing it as a promotional gimmick for Mountain Dew.
Oh no.
Who cares? I had a lot of fun with Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. This was one of the I had a lot of fun with this match, and just because I think they work well together, and this is one of those ones that I kind of wish this turned out to a longer feud and was more than just one match. So I think they could have had a lot of stellar matches. But yeah, this is just one of those ones which I think was just a lot of fun. And like, well, yes, they did it as a pitch black match because of Mountain Dew and all that. But I think it was just it did lead to eventually seeing Uncle Howdy like show up and all that. And once again, this could have become something more. Unfortunately, it's not now. But I think this was a fun match, and yeah, and it's someone other than the usual ones that we've got on this list. A lot on this list already. But Jacob, what do you say about the pitch black match from this year's Rumble?
Yeah, that's going to be a hard no, and only because we could do a whole thing talking about the promo stuff and like how Ray and Dominic's match at Mania this year was sponsored by Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but we can do that.
We can talk about payback. We can talk about payback, where Cinnamon Toast Crunch was like really, it was distracting the whole thing. Whereas on the side,
But even if you take out the Mountain Dew aspect of it, the match was not good. It looked like it took place in a laser tag arena. You got Bray doing his, the face paint looked cool under there, don't get me wrong, but I feel like LA Knight was just he lost steam instead of gained steam. And he's gained steam now, if for nothing else, maybe out of protest, because the fans really like him and they want to see WWE do more with him, which is looking like they're gonna do. Hopefully, I like the guy. I want him to succeed. But, recipes to Bray Wyatt. He is special place in all of our hearts. But let's not forget the fact that this match was just... I can tell because I watched this with several of my friends who love all the weird things in wrestling, and it went over like a fart in church. No one liked it, at least in the room that I was sitting in. So I'm sorry, but no.
I mean, it's fine. I didn't think it was. I wasn't commenting. I just want to talk about it. So, what do you think about it?
And I don't mean to be harsh if I'm coming across as harsh.
Right. It wasn't.
You are not dying on this hill alone, Malcolm. That's a yes for me. Now, I agree with you. The match. I really did not like the ending. I will say that I really did not like the ending of the match. But on that side, but that out of the way, I come from the Simon Miller school of thought. Goofy wrestling for life. They need more goofy wrestling. I liked the look of it. I thought it was fun. Whatever. It was a one-off. I've seen stupider things in wrestling. I've been watching since the early 90s. I once saw Sean Waltman in a giant baby diaper.
A cry baby match.
He lost yet to wear a diaper.
I unironically love the Invisible Man versus Invisible Stan match that we got from GCW. So I understand where you're coming from wholeheartedly, but I cannot defend that pitch black match.
And 100%, I agree. Like, I can understand why you can't defend it. Like I said, it's just one of those things. It's like, I had fun with it. And then again, you're also talking to the guy who once wore white at a laser tag match. So
that's an idea for a future ranking episode. Top 12 stupidest match ideas in history.
There's a lot.
There's so many. You can do a 3-part. You can do a 3-part list on this.
The freaking Chamber of Horrors from WCW,
Vince and Shane versus Michaels and God.
Yeah.
The Tower of Doom
prison.
Naturally, the dog kennel from hell.
Yes.
The Tower of Doom for WCW, and I could see what was going on. Anyway.
But anyway, Richie, what do you say about
the reverse battle royal? Jesus, that was stupid.
We can make fun of that stuff now. But I have to agree with Jacob here. I gotta go. No, this is But they had this weird thing with. I understand like Bray Wyatt had his own aesthetic. But the thing with Bray Wyatt was like, we'll light the ring and make it all gloomy and stuff, to the detriment of like the viewers, because you can't see shit what's going on. And that happened with the Fiend and Seth Rollins, which I don't think we're gonna bring up. Yeah, so look, and this is just before like LA Knight blew up. I think people wanted to cheer him, but yeah, this did hurt his momentum. And yeah, I think the finish hurt it too because I think I'm just gonna say Bo Dallas on Howdy. I guess he was meant to land on LA Knight. He missed him by a country mile, which it looked kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. This unfortunately, and I feel bad about it now, but if you were doing a worst matches of 2023, this might make my list. But I feel bad for mentioning it because of what happened with Bray. But yeah, I'd have to bring it up because I don't think this is a good match, and I don't like when it's like a cross promotion thing. It's weird now. It's like when they did that god awful zombie Army of the Dead.
That's the worst one for me. That's the one I like horrible.
Remember, let us never forget that the Miz was killed and eaten in that match and showed up on Raw the next night.
I mean, I didn't like. I remember the match. I don't think I watched the Raw after that, but it's like they could have really played into that a lot more by having Miz come out in zombie makeup. Just played into that a little bit more.
Like have hospital vignettes of Miz just on a stretcher, like in bandages. That great way to write him off for months, or heck, have him trying to be have him like milk that and get a pity party.
Yeah.
But Ryan, what do you say about Bray versus LA?
Man, it is a back and forth one. I mean, especially this was one of Wyatt's last matches because he had gotten himself because he got hurt during the match. And yeah, I do understand it's really not a good match, but the fact when it was called Lights Out and they went literal with it, I was going, okay, let's see what they're gonna do with this. Now, at the time with LA Knight, I understand. I mean, look, when Wyatt came back, I was watching the feud between those guys. LA Knight, he was starting to get that little turnaround, but still, the crowd was all behind Bray. I personally think it did not hurt. It did not hurt Knight. It was just one that Knight survived his feud with Bray. Now he's moving on. Ultimately, I'm just going to. Fuck it. I'm just gonna say yes. I mean, sure. I mean, there's other matches where Wyatt where Wyatt should have been the winner, or Wyatt got the loss, and you know what? I'm just gonna put this in here because this was when Bray came back.
This is the only way that this is even rewatchable is because of Bray Wyatt.
Exactly.
Bray Wyatt had a lot of bad matches, but in none of those matches was I saying to myself, I hope they don't run into the kids having the pizza party.
Once again, it's like goofy wrestling, comedy wrestling.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't expect that. I'd already deleted it from the I didn't until Ryan said yes, but
a wise man once told me whether if it's comedy, it's serious. When it comes to wrestling
yeah. Now, but truth be told, though, we are really at the point where we're almost scraping the bottom of the barrel because there's not that many truly great matches.
Wyatt was thrown into a lot of middling feuds, and so there is still. Yeah. I still think there's still a few. There's still a few in there. It's just,
for sure. I've got definitely got two more. One of them is probably not even mentioned yet.
But for that, got 2 spots left. Jacob, we go back to you.
All right, so. This is a match where Bray was not really the star, but he was a cog in a big machine of a match. Well, what a match it was. Survivor Series 2016, the men's elimination match. This match was super long, but it was well worth the time. And everyone involved had a place there. Even the sweaty thumb himself, Shane McMahon, had more than a few good moments here. This match is everything. Braun Strowman killing James Ellsworth again. You had a mini Shield reunion sandwiched in the middle of it. Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles doing the can they coexist thing, which I know has been quite an annoyance for people, but in the context of this, it worked. And most importantly, Bray got the pin. Not only did he get the pin, he got the pin on Roman Reigns, and with the help of Randy Orton. So, yeah, one of the best elimination traditional Survivor Series in the past few years. I'd even throw it up there in the best of all time category. for the traditional Survivor
Yeah,
Series elimination.
But also, when they were doing the whole brand versus everything, Raw versus SmackDown, that's actually one of the few matches to where if Survivor Series was going to be a Raw versus SmackDown pay-per-view, that was a match that showed that they could do it.
Yeah. It made no sense for the other years. And I believe in that year we got like a tag team version, whereas like all of SmackDown's and Raw's teams faced. There was a women's match too. And those were all fun.
And then when they added NXT, they overbloated it to where that's one of those few pay-per-views, just like in my opinion, WrestleMania 35, where they had the women main event, but the card was so overbloated the crowd could barely get behind it.
Well, NXT Black and Gold was a snake eating its own tail by that point, so they were just going so overblown with the Canadian Destroyer kickouts and just the long main events.
But then also when they had the Survivor Series of Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT, so many dream matchups, like the people just lost their voices by the time they got to Becky, Bayley, and Shayna.
Back then, yes, but towards the end, it got to the point where, like, weren't those guys just on Raw last week?
Anyway, so what do you say about the men's Survivor Series match?
I agree. There's actually nothing. There aren't that many great Survivor Series traditional matches. This is definitely one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
Richie, what do you say about the Survivor Series match from 2016?
This is the one where I think Jericho was Jericho this one.
Yes.
Yeah, he used him
and Owens were like in the romance.
Jericho tells this good story because like Shane comes out and then he gets
that's this match. That's right.
He comes out and he gets a bit carried away when he does his punches and he legit punches Jericho in the face. Yes. And then to the point where it was just like and Jericho had to go, look, calm down. And then then Shane punches him in the face again, and so Jericho leaps up and does a missile drop kick. Legit kicks him right in the head. Just like calm, and he goes, "Calm the fuck down."
You definitely gave him a receipt.
Yeah. But this is also the match where, I was like Shane legit just got it, got carried out of the match anyway when he got a spear in midair. So,
and then got concussed in that match as well.
Is that the one? Yeah, that's the one where Roman speared him out of midair in the best ring.
And then
Shane got very tiresome in his last run, but man, like his dedication to just saying, "I'll take the craziest."
And there was also the match. It was also during that time Brandy actually broke character a bit just to console his kid, console Shane's kids.
I remember watching that live. I'm like, who is he talking to? And sure enough, it was to Shane's kids. And then immediately after that match, it was Brock and Goldberg. We know that story.
But I thought the match was pretty good. Definitely memorable because I'm talking about So Bray pins Rome, so that's pretty good. So I think it's worth this list. Yes.
Ryan, what do you say about the Survivor Series match from 2016?
Just all of us talking about it. This is also on my list as well. It was just because the more this was getting smaller and smaller, I'm like, let me just throw in some wild ones. But this was definitely a hell yes as well because. I mean, just like what Jacob said, this match had everything. It was, without a doubt, an incredible combination of these wrestlers who were definitely on top. You had, Kevin Owens and Jericho during their bromance, Randy Orton joining the Wyatt family. Dean Ambrose, despite what they did with him during his first
way.
Oh, you just saw something? Okay.
You want me to spoil something for All Out?
Well, it's playing in the background for me. So
for those who don't know, we got a debut, folks.
Okay, I haven't seen it. It's not happened to me yet. Oh, never. I'm seeing it. Oh!
No way. Yeah, it finally happened. Lana has debuted in AEW.
Lana.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is she going by Lana or is it different name?
CJ Perry.
CJ Perry. It may just be CJ, but holy crap.
All right, sorry.
Okay. But this is a yes for me. This is a yes. This match is fantastic. Bray Wyatt got the pin on Roman Reigns, but also it was that time when people were unsure of Randy's motives being a part of the Wyatt family. So you saw Randy not only not do the RKO, he throws him to Bray to do the Sister Abigail.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a yes.
Yeah, I like this match. Like, there was only really one match of Bray's that I didn't really like, and that was involving the aforementioned Goldberg. But yeah, I think the Survivor Series match was good. It was really low down my list though. It's good that Bray got the pin on Reigns and all that. I just think it was just one of those ones which didn't really highlight Bray a lot in this, but it was still really good. And after watching it, I completely forgot James Ellsworth was even a thing. It made me remind myself that James Ellsworth was a thing. So I would have gone a slight no, but it's going to make the list anyway. We've got one spot left. So, what match you can bring up?
I'm gonna go with his match against the Undertaker at WrestleMania 31.
Oh.
It was the year after Taker lost the streak. We hadn't seen him in a year. Bray Wyatt, it was inevitable what was going to happen. And then the day of or day before, whatever, he injures his ankle pretty bad. And the match is up in the air. And also we get where he's going to do the match, and it turned out pretty decent. Now, hindsight, do I think maybe Bray winning the match probably would have been the right call? Probably. But I still thought it was a pretty good match. Undertaker, Bray Wyatt on the grandest stage of them all. I thought it was fun.
Richie, what do you say about Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31?
Yeah, this will probably be the next one. I'm torn between two to bring up, but this was definitely one of them. And yeah, I think it's Undertaker's last sort of great match at WrestleMania, good match, where he could still sort of go. So yeah, I thought it was really good. Yeah, I mean, I think it probably would have had more kind of memorability, or have more trying to it if he wasn't coming off losing the streak. If Undertaker, if it was like the streak was on the line, maybe I could see Bray winning. I think it would do more for Bray, and then as a passing of the torch thing, I think it would suit Bray more beating the streak than it did Brock Lesnar. But it is what it is. But yeah, as a match in a vacuum, it's pretty good. It is pretty good, and yeah, and it's cool that Bray got this opportunity, and it's sort of in terms of characters, two of the sort of best characters in wrestling. I think sort of a dream match, as it were. So it's cool to see it on the big stage, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. So yeah, I'll say yes.
Ryan, what do you say about Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt?
This one was definitely it's a mixed bag for me. Not because of more of we should have wished who would have won, but because to me personally, this was a good stepping platform for Wyatt. I mean, other than Undertaker losing the streak at 30, Wyatt also had a match against Cena where everyone thought he was going to be raised onto the platform, but he ended up losing on that one. And this one was also another good way to step up for Wyatt. Going one-on-one against the Phenom, the Undertaker. And even though he lost, I think Wyatt still looked very strong in this one. It's one of those matches I would recommend to some fans out there going, just because your favorite wrestler loses does not mean they did not walk away with a victory. And seeing how Undertaker was working with him so well, and yeah, Undertaker was still able to go before later on there's his 33, the 34 match, and then his 36 match in the Boneyard. This was at least one of the last WrestleMania matches before the Boneyard match where we saw the Undertaker put on one hell of a show.
Yeah.
So if this caps the list, this caps the list. So this is a yes for me.
Yeah. I rewatched this one, and yeah, this was such a great match. If the streak hadn't already ended, I would have liked to see Bray Wyatt being the one to end the streak, and that kind of There's this turning off the torch.
Passing of the torch.
That's what I knew what I meant to say.
Yeah. Like passing the torch or hanging up his boots. You know, this would have been a good way.
I mean, not so much to retire Undertaker, like even though like he was at the point here where it's like he's been wrestling for a long time as it is. Like I don't know how old he was at this point, but it's like, but I would have also started off as Bray Wyatt being this force and being this one maybe a start of a new WrestleMania streak, and to see sort of where that would have gone. So it's definitely one of those ones that I think is a great match, and it showed like the Undertaker like has a knack of making people look strong in a loss. Because I mean, like, because I think it's one of those ones like Undertaker's just one of those ones like in all his matches he's ever done at Mania is like there's really been no one which is like looked really worse off if they lost to him. And even though Taker versus Cena was pretty much a squash match for Taker, but it is what it is.
Ignore everything before WrestleMania 14.
Yeah.
Before that, you had Jimmy Snuka, one of his last matches. You had Jake Roberts, who was his last match for that run. Then you had
Gabriel.
and then King Kong Bundy.
There was that Hell in a Cell with Big Boss Man.
Yeah. So
lest we forget Giant Gonzalez.
Giant Gonzalez, that's what I meant.
Which apparently he still gives Bruce Pritchard shit for all these years later.
I don't blame him, not for a single second. Oh, you want me to do that thing? You know I did. I worked with a literal ent in Caesar's Palace parking lot a few years ago, Bruce.
But anyway, Jacob, what do you say about Taker versus Bray Wyatt?
It looks like this will be the final match on the list. I will say yes. However, I wanted a different match on here, and I guess I should have brought it up. But regardless, this match is not perfect in the build-up or in the actual thing, but I do agree with it being on here just in general. The entrance that Bray had for this show, one of the complaints I hear about Mania 31 was that it took place in an open-air stadium in California and it was light outside. And I remember watching like I can't remember the WWE Sins guy. I can't remember his name, but
Christian Miracle.
Him.
Yeah.
His constant complaint was another sin for the outdoor. Like, we get it. It's light outside. Like, shut up about it already. And I know that's his whole thing.
Have everything.
Yeah,
I know that's his whole thing, but I just got annoyed by it at a certain point. It doesn't take away from the overall show, which I think is really good. But the match itself with Bray coming in with those scarecrows, it's creepy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the match in general, I think, is quite good. But my only knock against it is that they tried really hard to make like Bray the new Undertaker with him coming out of the casket at Fastlane and doing the new face of fear, yes, and the whole thing with the lightning. And in the words of Robin Williams, I'm like, at that point, even God's going, do you get it? So that's my main hang-up. Rest of it I thought was quite good. So, yes.
Perfect. Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt is going to make the list. And yeah, just to recap the list, we've got The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan from Royal Rumble 2020, Wyatt Family versus Shield from Elimination Chamber 2014, the Elimination Chamber match from 2017, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt Hell in a Cell 2015, John Cena versus The Fiend Firefly Funhouse match, The Fiend versus Finn Balor SummerSlam 2019, The Usos versus Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan from War 2014, John Cena versus Bray Wyatt at Payback 2014, Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt, the Ultimate Deletion match, Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight Rumble 23, Survivor Series match 2016, and Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt from WrestleMania 31. Richie, did you have any honorable mentions?
Just two that pop in my mind. Obviously, Bray and Cena at WrestleMania, the proper match. I think that's what we're alluding to. And also, Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules, which was won by Samoa Joe. That's really good.
The one that I am kicking myself that I didn't bring up, Bray versus Bryan, Royal Rumble 2014.
That was on my honorable mention. And
that Sister Abigail into the guardrail, oh my goodness gracious. It still makes me cringe to this day, not just because of what we know about Daniel Bryan and his neck history, but just seeing it in a bubble, just catching him in the suicide dive and then doing it. I'm just like,
great fluid of motion.
They had great chemistry. A lot of people don't talk about it, but they had great chemistry.
They did.
Yeah. So I guess those are the two that I would think of, but there might be others I'm not thinking. There's probably a couple of TV matches that were pretty good, but yeah. I mean, it is quite sort of good. Like, we didn't put up maybe a couple of Wyatt family ones, but it was cool that we've got to kind of bring attention to Brody Lee too, who's also not with us, unfortunately. So, yeah. But yeah.
Ryan, what are some of your honorable mentions?
Well, I had the Wyatt and Cena match I had was actually at Extreme Rules. I mean, it was coming off the loss. Wyatt pretty much sold the whole thing as if I didn't lose anything, and it began he got the whole world in his hands to where it had him he was really up in the creepy factor there, even having a children's choir. And then, of course, however people feel about that spot of that little boy still singing there,
Weird.
it's still a good moment there that plays on the weirdness of Wyatt during that time. Another one I had, actually, it was one of the few NXT matches that I had watched during its early heyday, and it was the Wyatt family versus Pac, aka Adrian Neville, William Regal, and Corey Graves. That was one I had on there, mainly just as an interesting little. It was just like a little interesting piece there at the time. The only NXT match I've watched before I started investing myself fully. And then I had Wyatt versus Kane in that Ring of Fire match. It was shy off of his debut on the main roster, and it's a match not only he won, but it also ended with the Wyatts, Harper and Luke, carrying off Kane to the back, almost in a way of really not only supplanting Kane, but to show Bray Wyatt as his new unstoppable force.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another one that I had just for fun was simply Wyatt and Jericho in that steel cage match on Raw.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
They opened up that show with that match. I remember I watched it live.
Yeah. For me, some of the honorable mentions I had, try and go for ones that weren't already mentioned. I'm one of the weirdos that really enjoyed the House of Horror matches between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. I thought it was a lot of fun. Well, yes, there's a lot of just Randy Orton walking around just being ambushed by Bray Wyatt. But when it actually got to the ring, I thought it was just a lot of fun.
And I didn't like the fact that if it had ended in the house, I would have been fine with that. It's just when it got to the ring, I'm like, yeah. But sorry, keep going.
But yeah, I kind of wish I brought this one up earlier, but Seth Rollins versus The Fiend from Crown Jewel 2019, I thought was really good. The Falls getting a new match. I wasn't going to bring up the Hell in a Cell match with a disqualification, even though it was a no disqualification.
We do not acknowledge that match in this house.
Yeah. I would never have brought it up in a million years anyway. It's
if it had not ended on a stoppage and they just say give the fucking belt to the Fiend, I would have been fine with that. But it's
and that's
he hit him with a big mallet. It was fine. He hit him with a small. He's hit him with a small. A small hammer. No, that's too much. That's fine.
Honestly, that whole Brian Alvarez rant. It's Brian Alvarez, I know, but that whole Brian Alvarez rant, I could just play that, and that would be my exact thoughts on that awful match.
And let's not forget the red mood lighting.
Yes.
Oh, God.
The red, but then also they had the whole cage painted red as well.
Yeah.
I hated that. Thought this was a good idea. Watching the match through a virtual.
That's who.
I'm glad they've got rid of the red cage now, which is good because that red cage just looked ugly in the first.
Yeah, I think I don't know how long it was till they eventually decided to get rid of that red mood lighting as well.
I think it took a year and a half, maybe.
But the thing is, like, didn't they? I thought they would have realized, like, with
Oh no, that was still around during the Thunderdome era. So I think
the first Hell in a Cell without the red helm cell was Edge Balor.
yes,
Well,
okay.
from this year's Mania, right?
You'd think they'd learn with the mood lighting with like Sin Cara, which didn't work either.
Yeah.
It was stupid. It's like, don't have mood lighting in anyway. It's dumb. Anyway.
Knowing this company, you would think that they would be sponsored by Swedish Fish or Mountain Dew Code Red.
Or Red Vines, you know.
Or Red Vines,
or
that's what I
Twizzlers.
Twizzlers.
But in the last one I'll bring up, like, I just finished sort of rewatching this sort of just before we did this, like Kane and the Undertaker up against Bray and Luke Harper at Survivor Series 2015. I think it was a really good match because it was one of those ones like no one knew which two members of the Wyatt family were going to be facing Kane and Undertaker. I think everyone was assuming, oh yeah, Bray's not going to fight; it's going to be Luke and Braun. But like Bray's got into the match himself, like just one of those wonderful things was fun. But Jacob, any honorable mentions that you want to bring up?
Other than the Rumble 2014 match, I think that's about it.
And so any honorable mentions?
Yeah, mine was also, I only had the Rumble 2014 match, but I would be remiss. I don't remember the specifics of the match, but we have to shout out probably Bray's most badass moment, that is the calling of the spear.
Yes, that was
what timing.
He called in a dog strike.
Yeah, after he did the Sister Abigail's.
Looking. Like, couldn't tell you the match, but I had to shout that moment out.
It was Bray and Roman against Sheamus and Alberto Del Rio. It was
it was a tag match. I thought it was like a 5-man match.
No, it was a tag.
No, it was a tag.
Okay.
But with that being said,
I forgot. There's also the New Day versus the Wyatt compound.
That's right. Yes, I forgot about that one.
It was a good storyline
totally
to where
forgot
they were
about
really
that.
trying to show how scary this team was, how Xavier was terrified of them. So, that was a good element.
Yeah, I've said this on a different show once before. Is like, but like with WWE studios and like their movies, I kind of wish they took some of these characters and made a movie of those characters. Was like, even though it's like it wouldn't happen now because you have to get someone else to play Bray, but like a whole movie about like Bray the character, I think would be really interesting.
Oh, totally.
Or like, you know how they did they did that thing on Netflix with the New Day and Undertaker. Like, do something. You should have done something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But with that being said, now it's time to actually rank these matches. How we do this is we either write down a whiteboard or just say it if you don't have anything to write down. That's handy. The match you want at like the number 12 and onwards. But Richie, what do you have for number 12?
Easily, the Bray Wyatt LA Knight. Lights out.
Ryan, what do you have for number 12?
I put Usos versus Bray and Daniel.
I put Survivor Series 2016. Jacob, what do you have for 12?
I'm with you, Richie. Pitch Black.
And Soda, what do you have for 12?
I'm with both of you, Pitch Black as well. Fun, but it ain't great.
Hope one of them at least got to play Terminator Salvation while they were there. Get something from the claw machine.
But Ryan, what do you have for 11?
Well, I'm still sticking with Usos versus Bryan and Wyatt. Bray and Wyatt. Bray and Daniel. Jesus Christ.
Bray Bryan versus Daniel Wyatt.
Yes.
Well, I'm sticking with 5 series. Jacob, what do you have for 11?
The Usos match.
Soda, what do you have for 11?
Usos match as well.
And Richie.
Yeah, I'll go the Usos match.
I've still got Survivor Series 2016. Jacob, what do you have for number 10?
For number 10, I'm looking at the list. Give me a hot second. I'm writing. Last Man Standing.
Is that the John Cena Bray Wyatt payback one?
Yeah, payback.
Yeah.
yeah, that's all right. I'm just making sure.
No, I got you.
I didn't want. I forgot to write match times all of the matches, but just be sure. But so, what do you have for 10?
Sorry, Ricky Dragon Steamboat's still the ultimate babyface.
Oh no, yeah, so good.
I went with ultimate deletion.
Richie, what do you have for 10?
Ultimate deletion, I think. Yeah, that's one.
And Ryan, what do you have for 10?
I went with Survivor Series match.
Right, so we've got Survivor Series 2016 and the Last Man Stand, which is John Cena Wyatt. Richie, you're the older one now.
No. Richie went with Ultimate Deletion.
Yeah, so I've got 2 for Ultimate Deletion, 2 for the Survivor Series. Jacob, Survivor Series or Ultimate Deletion at a 10?
Ultimate Deletion.
But Jacob, what do you have for 9?
Well, I'm not going to write this down. Going to go Mania 31.
Mania 31. Soda, what do you have at 9?
I'm on the Survivor Series 2016.
Richie, what do you have?
I'll go Last Man Standing here.
Ryan?
I'm still with Survivor Series.
Yeah, I'm still with Survivor Series as well. So Survivor Series is going to be at number 9. Soda, what do you have for 8?
Jeez. Crap. You know what? I'm going to go with the 31 match.
Richie, what do you have for 9?
Yeah, I'll go Last Man Standing again.
Payback for me.
Payback. So that's Last Man Standing. I haven't changed my board, so just give me a second. I'm going for the Elimination Chamber match 2017. Jacob.
I will take the Last Man Standing match on that one.
And Soda.
I'm with the Elimination Chamber.
But it's going to be John Cena versus Bray Wyatt in the Last Man Standing match. A lot more writing than we're used to for just wrestling matches.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I'm sticking with the Elimination Chamber match for 7. Jacob, what do you have for 7?
For 7, the Chamber match hasn't been taken yet, right?
Not yet,
No,
no.
it's not on there yet.
I put that forward at 7.
So do we have for
Same
7? Richie?
Yeah, I'll do the Chamber match.
Have I gone to you yet, Ryan?
No, you haven't, but it's obviously on the list. Mine was for WrestleMania 31.
Elimination Chamber match of 2017 is going to be there. I'm not going to bother writing down all the... Just like Survivor Series match, I'm not going to write down all the players. I think people know who's in it.
No, yeah.
Just to recap what we've got left, we've got The Fiend versus Dan Bryan from Rumble 2020, Wyatt Family versus Shield for Elimination Chamber 2014, Roman versus Bray, Hell in a Cell, John Cena 5 for the Funhouse match. Fiend versus Finn for SummerSlam, and then Undertaker versus Bray at Mania 31. Jacob, what do you have for 6?
Let's go Mania 31 on this one.
Soda, what do you have for 6?
Roman versus Bray, Heck in a Stick.
I appreciate the wrestling with regret reference.
Richie, what do you have for 6?
I'm going to go take a break here.
Ryan?
Actually, yeah, I changed mine. I went with Roman and Bray, Hell in a Cell.
And I went for Fiend versus Finn Balor for SummerSlam 2019, which means we've got 2 for Taker versus Bray, and 2 for Hell in a Cell. So it's on me, and yeah, it's going to be Roman versus Bray at Hell in a Cell. Soda, what do you have for 5?
SummerSlam 2019. The Fiend versus Finn Balor.
Richie, what do you have for 5?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to change it. Yes, SummerSlam Balor versus Fiend.
Ryan, what do you have for 5?
I went back to WrestleMania 31.
I'm still on Fiend versus Finn. Jacob, what do you have for 5?
Fiend Finn, SummerSlam.
Soda, what do you have for 4?
That's what I'm going to go with, Mania 31.
Richie?
Mania 31. Fun Balor. It actually works though. Fun Balor.
Well, I mean, he wasn't demon, so it must have been fun. But
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you have for?
Still on 31. WrestleMania 31.
What haven't I gone with yet? Yeah. I would have gone Fiend Brian for Royal Rumble 2020. Jacob, have I gone to you yet?
No, but I was going to stand with my fellow panel mates at Mania 31.
Yep, Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt for Mania 31. Richie, what do you have for 3?
Let's see.
We've got Fiend versus Brian for Royal Rumble 2020. Wyatt Family versus Shield for Eliminator Chamber, and the Firefly Funhouse match.
I'm gonna go Funhouse here.
Ryan, what do you have for 3?
Royal Rumble 2020.
I'm also going Royal Rumble 2020. Jacob?
I echo Richie with the Funhouse.
And Soda.
Royal Rumble 2020.
Royal Rumble 2020 is going to be 3. So instead of going for number 2, we're going to go straight to number 1 because the other one will become 2 by default, which is going to be the Funhouse match in Wyatt Family versus Shield. Ryan, what do you have for number 1?
Okay, well, number 1, you practically used this intro for this video, so it's going to be the Funhouse.
Yeah, my number 1 is the Funhouse as well. Jacob, what's your number 1?
I might be going against the grain, but it's my opinion. The Shield match.
Soda, what do you have for number 1?
I said it when I nominated it. It's my favorite Bray Wyatt match, Wyatt and Shield.
Richie, what is your number 1?
Wyatt and Shield.
So it is going to be Wyatt and the Shield. That will be number 1, which makes John Cena versus the Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match number 2. And I just realized how hard it is to say Firefly Funhouse very fast.
Yeah.
As I finish writing out these, and just in case someone tries to say, "Hope you don't get blocked for using the Firefly Funhouse theme," I actually found out it's not owned by WWE.
Oh no, it's actually
a kids song. So
yeah,
Oh,
Really?
shit. I know that.
yeah, I saw people say that it was actually Kathy Kelly that's singing it. I don't know. I don't
No,
think
I
that's
don't
true.
think so.
But yeah. But with that being said, this is our top 12 matches featuring Bray Wyatt. At number 12, got Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in Royal Rumble 23. At 11, we got the Usos versus Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt from Raw 2014. At 10, we got Matt Hardy versus Bray Wyatt in the Ultimate Deletion match. At 9, we got Survivor Series from 2016. At 8, we got John Cena versus Bray Wyatt Payback 2014, and that's the last man standing match. At 7, we got Elimination Chamber from 2017. At 6, we got Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt at Hell in a Cell 2015. At 5, we got Fiend versus Finn Balor from SummerSlam 2019. At 4, we got Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt at Mania 31. At 3, we got Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend Rumble 2020. At 2, we got John Cena versus The Fiend in the Firefly Funhouse match. And number 1 is the Wyatt Family versus Shield at Elimination Chamber 2014. It's a good bunch of matches. Like, really early on, I was really worried we're going to get a lot of Roman and Cena and Bray, but then we've got some mixes of some other stars thrown in there. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And next week is going to be top 12 Jack Nicholson movies. And Jacob, where can people find you online?
So at RyanCam20, that's where my YouTube channel is. I talk a lot of movies on there. It's the Small Talk podcast where my friends and I relive the show Smallville. I'm watching it for the first time. They are super fans.
Nice.
So we're just coming to the end of season 1. Nobody spoil it for me, please. It's going to be a live watch along, and that's going to be coming up.
Superman's in it.
This is not a spoiler, but I actually saw an action scene from season 10 filmed live because he's live in Vancouver.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I'm really digging the show so far. It's really good.
For me, it becomes the show season 4. It's for me personally when it becomes the show. When Logan comes in.
But that drops every Tuesday on my YouTube channel at RyanCam20 and also on Spotify at Small Talk Podcast. I have another podcast I do with my friend called Life in the Movies. This week coming up is going to be our Christopher Nolan ranking. He finally saw Oppenheimer. He's going to school to become a pastor, so his time is very limited. We finally saw Oppenheimer, and we can do a Nolan ranking proper now. I am reviewing also all of the Saw movies because of Saw 10. Saw 5 just dropped last Friday. Next Friday will be Saw 6, so that'll be up. And yeah, I got a lot of great stuff coming to that channel. I got Scary Mania, 31 horror movie reviews in 31 days. Scorsese month in November, where I review a couple of Scorsese movies because of Killers of the Flower Moon. I couldn't do it in October because of Scary Mania, so I'm just choosing ones that I've always wanted to see. And then December is my Christmas series, so tons of stuff coming. Subscribe to me at RyanCam20. I'm also in multiplex movie trivia, lights out trivia, and wrestling with trivia and combat wrestling trivia. So yeah, I'm in a lot of places. I should have just abridged it with I'm in a lot of places. But yeah, that's where I am. I'd appreciate a subscribe if you check me out.
So we can be find you online.
You can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me over in the Northern Entertainment Group where I do some stuff with my good buddy 50 Shades of Geek. And you can also find me over on the So Diggin' Wrestling channel
Right now, we don't have a lot going on over there. We're just mostly weekly news shows. And we did a watch along of All In last week. Got a couple shows that are very sporadic, but they are coming. One of them is I got my friend 50 to watch for the very first time, Hell in a Cell 98. I'm just waiting for him to finish the intro, and we're going to be loading that one up. So it's a live watch along, by the way. We're doing our own commentary.
My God, I killed him.
Yeah.
He's dead.
But Richie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me all around the trivia spaces. Yeah, most prominently sort of combat wrestling trivia, the JPO's channels mainly is where I make an appearance. But yeah, I'm all around the movie spaces as well. Yeah, so check me out there. Check out if you're so inclined. I posted it maybe a few days ago. I'm in a series that's coming out soon on YouTube. That I filmed earlier in the year. It might end up on TV. It's called Expanded Minds Only. I play a psycho serial killer dude. I'm in the trailer, giving my best Kubrick stare. Check that out. It was a lot of fun to film with me and a whole bunch of the Australia's top comedians. So that was fun. So check that out. The whole series drops September 5th on YouTube channel called Grouse House. So check that out. And other than that, I'm always around. Doing stuff. I'm always around. So I'm sure I'll appear and rank him again in a couple of weeks.
I'm sure your assistant will tell you where you're meant to be.
Oh yeah. Brian knows fun. Will tell me if I've double booked myself.
But Brian, where can people find you online?
People can just find me, of course, social media. My Twitter X handle is caramel_Payne, same as on Instagram. Or you can just go on Facebook find Brian Payne. Although there's multiple ones of them, I don't have anything separate for it. I do my current wrestling podcast that I have with my buddies James Shimo and Brent McPherson. We have been on a break this whole year, but we have been recording episodes to at least release later towards the end of 2023. The podcast is called Wrestling, Ramblings, and Rages. It's available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. I'm not sure if there's new episodes on Anchor, but some of our old episodes are still on these platforms. Go take a listen to them. Hopefully, when the new stuff comes out, you'll get like notifications, or you'll just get like a heads up that we released a new episode. And beyond that, I play trivia almost anywhere: Lights Out, Multiplex, Combat Wrestling Trivia, Jack of all Trades, League of Cinephiles. Just wherever there's movie or anything that of my interest, I'm there.
And you can find me on Take 3 Productions. I rank them every week. And next week's going to be top 12 Jack Nicholson movies. I think I've had him on the poll a few times, but I'm surprised we're finally getting around to him. But you can also find me sort of hosting trivia over on Full Metal. This week is going to be Robert Castner versus Antonio Chavez. And you can also find me over on Movie Hero Network doing a bunch of tournaments. I think I'm on this week's episode talking about post-apocalyptic movies. But until next time, one.